Welcome to my channel, your soft and simple place to learn real English while exploring big stories from history. Today, I have a question for you. How can one man rise from nothing to control almost all of Europe and then lose it all? This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte, his glory, his genius, and his ruin. You will see battles, crowns, victories, and mistakes that changed the world. And as we go, you will also learn clear, simple English. So, stay with me until the end. You won't want to miss the last twist in his life. Chapter 1. A Boy from Corsica. The year is 1769. On a small island in the Mediterranean Sea called Corsica, a boy named Napoleon Bonaparte is born. His family has noble blood, but very little money. They are not poor farmers, but they are far from rich. The Bonapartes live in a modest home, and every coin must be counted. Napoleon grows up hearing two languages, Corsican at home and French at school. But his French has a strong Corsican accent, and when he goes to France for studies, other children laugh at him. They call him names. They see him as different. This hurts the young boy, but it also lights a fire inside him. Spike moment. Napoleon finds comfort in books. In the quiet hours, while other boys play outside, he sits alone, turning pages for hours. He reads about great men, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Hannibal. In his mind, these are not just old names from dusty pages. They are heroes, leaders, conquerors. He dreams of walking in their footsteps. Sometimes, late at night, he writes in a small notebook. His handwriting is not perfect, but his words are strong. I will do great things. He does not know how or when, but he believes it with all his heart. In simple English, we can say that Napoleon is different from most boys. He is serious. He studies hard. He does not only want to live, he wants to lead. His father sends him to military school in France. At first, it is hard. He is far from home. The food tastes strange. The air is cold. His classmates are richer than him, and they sometimes make fun of his accent and his clothes. But instead of giving up, Napoleon works even harder. He learns mathematics, history, and military strategy. He learns how to use cannons, how to read maps, and how to command soldiers. Slowly, his teachers begin to notice his talent. Napoleon's years in military school shape him. He learns discipline, waking up early, following orders, polishing his boots until they shine. He learns to think quickly and clearly. He also learns something else. If you are skilled and brave, people will follow you, no matter where you come from. The chapter's emotional pull comes in a quiet scene. A teenage Napoleon, standing alone in the school courtyard, looking up at the night sky. The stars are bright above France, and he whispers to himself, "One day I will be more than a soldier. One day I will be great." The first big turning point in his young life comes in 1793. France is in chaos after the Revolution. In the south, the city of Toulon is taken over by rebels with help from the British Navy. Napoleon is still a young artillery officer, but he has ideas, bold ideas. He suggests a clever plan to place cannons in a way that will drive the British ships away. His superiors agree, and the plan works. The enemy is forced to retreat. In the smoke and fire of the battle, Napoleon shows not only skill, but also courage. He is noticed by the leaders of France for the first time. This is where the boy from Corsica begins to step into history, not just as a dreamer with a notebook, but as a soldier who turns ideas into victories. Chapter 2. The young general who couldn't lose. After Toulon, Napoleon's career moves fast. He is smart, brave, and full of ideas that surprise even older officers. In a country torn apart by revolution, talented people rise quickly. At just 26 years old, Napoleon is promoted to general, a position most soldiers wait their whole lives to reach. He is young, but his mind is sharp, and his confidence is strong. Spike moment. In 1796, he is given command of the French army in Italy. It is not a glorious army. His soldiers are tired, hungry, and badly dressed. Some have no shoes. Their uniforms are worn and torn. But Napoleon does not see defeat. He sees opportunity. Standing before them, he says, "You are hungry and poor, but I will lead you to glory." These words light a fire in his men. They begin to believe that with this young general, they can win. The Italian campaign becomes Napoleon's stage to show his genius. He moves his army faster than anyone expects, crossing mountains and attacking from directions the enemy never imagines. He understands that speed and surprise can be more powerful than sheer numbers. While other generals follow rules from old books, Napoleon writes his own. His plans are bold, risky, and brilliant, and they work. Town after town falls to his forces. The enemy is confused and demoralized. Emotional moment. The Battle of Arcole in 1796. The French army faces Austrian forces across a narrow bridge. The fighting is fierce, and the French soldiers hesitate. The enemy fire is heavy, and fear spreads. Then Napoleon does something dangerous, something that will be remembered forever. He grabs a flag, holds it high, and runs straight toward the enemy. For a moment, bullets fly around him, but he keeps going. His soldiers, inspired by his courage, surge forward. Together, they push the Austrians back and take the bridge. That image, Napoleon, with the flag in the smoke, becomes a symbol of bravery. As the Italian campaign continues, Napoleon negotiates treaties, wins battles, and sends riches back to France. But more than that, he wins the loyalty of his soldiers. They begin to see him not just as a commander, but as a leader who shares their hardships. He eats the same food they eat. He rides with them through rain and mud. He remembers their names. This connection makes his army fight harder for him. By the time he returns to France, Napoleon is no longer just a skilled officer. He is a national hero. Newspapers write about his victories. People talk about him in cafes and markets. His name is known in every city. France sees in him not only a soldier who can win wars, but a man who could lead the nation to greatness. This is the moment when Napoleon's path changes forever. He is no longer just a general. His rise to power has begun. Chapter 3. from soldier to emperor. Military victories have made Napoleon famous, but fame alone is not enough for him. He is ambitious. He wants more than medals and cheers. He wants to shape the future of France itself. And France, in the years after the Revolution, is unstable. The monarchy is gone, but peace has not come. There are riots in the streets, threats from other countries, and weak leaders in Paris who cannot control the chaos. Ordinary people are tired of uncertainty. They want someone strong, someone who can bring order and hope. Napoleon sees this moment as his chance. In November 1799, history will remember what happens as the coup of 18 Brumaire, named after the date in the French Revolutionary calendar. Spike moment. Napoleon walks into a government meeting with soldiers at his side. His voice is calm but firm. The lawmakers argue and shout, but he does not back down. His troops stand ready, their boots loud on the wooden floor. No shots are fired, no blood is spilled. But in that one day, Napoleon takes control of France. It is not just a military victory, it is a political takeover. The young general is now the first consul, the most powerful man in the country. Over the next few years, Napoleon strengthens his rule. He reforms the legal system, builds new schools, and improves roads and trade. His Napoleonic Code, simple, clear laws for everyone, becomes one of his greatest legacies, still influencing countries around the world today. He wins more battles in Europe, spreading France's power far beyond its borders. His popularity grows, and so does his ambition. Emotional spike. In 1804, Napoleon decides to take the final step. He will be emperor. The ceremony is held in the great Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. The Pope himself comes to crown him. But then something shocking happens. Napoleon takes the crown in his own hands and places it on his own head. This act is bold and symbolic. It says to the world, I owe my power to no one, not to kings, not to the church. I am the maker of my own destiny. The people cheer. His soldiers, many of whom followed him through mud and blood in Italy, now see him standing on a golden throne. To them, it feels like their victories too. France is no longer a shaky republic. It is the center of a powerful empire. By the end of this chapter, Napoleon is not just a soldier. He is emperor of the French, ruling most of Europe. His flags fly from Spain to Austria, his laws spread across nations, and his name is spoken with respect and fear across the continent. But with great power comes great challenges, and the world will soon begin to push back. Chapter 4. The Master of Europe. This is the height of Napoleon's power. France is strong, rich, and feared. His armies march across Europe, spreading not just his control, but also his ideas. One of his greatest achievements is the Napoleonic Code, a set of laws that are simple, fair, and the same for everyone. Before, laws in France were different in every region. Now, under his code, people have clearer rights. Property is protected, contracts are respected, and privilege based on birth is reduced. Even today, over 200 years later, parts of this code still influence countries around the world. But Napoleon is not only a lawmaker, he is still the master of the battlefield. Spike moment. In 1805, the Battle of Austerlitz, also called the Battle of the Three Emperors, becomes his masterpiece. Facing two large armies, the Russians and Austrians, Napoleon pretends to be weak. He lets them believe they have the advantage, even giving up high ground to tempt them into attacking. But it's a trap. When they move forward, Napoleon's hidden forces strike at the center, splitting their army in two. By the end of the day, his enemies are crushed. It is one of the most brilliant victories in history, and it cements his reputation as a military genius. Across Europe, his influence spreads. Kingdoms are reorganized, rulers are replaced with his friends and family. Napoleon's brothers sit on thrones, and his alliances stretch from Italy to Poland. In Paris, he builds grand monuments to celebrate France's glory. He feels pride, not just for himself, but for creating a France that dominates the continent. But power brings enemies. Other nations do not like being under French control. In Spain, a rebellion begins in 1808. The people fight not just in open battles, but in small surprise attacks, ambushes on roads, attacks at night. This becomes the Peninsular War, and it drains France of soldiers and money. Napoleon calls Spain the bleeding wound, and no matter how many troops he sends, the problem will not heal. At the same time, Britain remains his most stubborn enemy. Napoleon cannot invade their island because their navy is too strong. So he tries another plan, the continental system, a trade blockade meant to hurt Britain's economy by closing European ports to British goods. But this plan backfires. It hurts French merchants and allies, making them angry. Some countries secretly continue trading with Britain, weakening Napoleon's control. Despite these cracks, Napoleon still believes he can win. And when Russia refuses to follow the continental system, he makes a decision that will change everything. He will invade Russia. In 1812, he begins gathering the largest army Europe has ever seen. Over 600,000 soldiers from many nations under his command. He is confident. He has defeated so many enemies before, and he believes he will do it again. But deep in the Russian winter, he will face something no army can easily defeat: cold, hunger, and endless land. The master of Europe is about to face his greatest test. Chapter 5. The Long Fall begins. In 1812, Napoleon marches into Russia with the largest army Europe has ever seen, over 600,000 soldiers. They come from France, Italy, Poland, Germany, and other lands under his control. At first, the march feels like another grand campaign. The soldiers believe in their emperor, and Napoleon is confident. But the Russians have a different plan. Instead of fighting huge battles, they keep retreating, burning fields and villages behind them. There is nothing for the French army to eat or take. The further they go, the more supplies run out. Spike moment. In September, they finally reach Moscow, expecting to take the city and force Russia to surrender. But when Napoleon enters, he finds something shocking. Moscow is almost empty. The people have left, and the city is on fire. Flames rise into the night sky, turning his victory into ashes. There is no food, no shelter, and no peace deal from the Russian Tsar. Napoleon waits for weeks, but nothing changes. The cold begins to bite, and winter is coming fast. The retreat from Moscow becomes a nightmare. Temperatures drop far below freezing. Horses die in the snow, carts are abandoned, and soldiers wrap themselves in torn blankets. Many have no shoes, their feet bleeding and frozen. Hunger is everywhere. Some soldiers collapse in the snow and never get up again. Others are taken by Russian attacks. By the time Napoleon's army makes it out, only a fraction remain. The once great force that ruled Europe is broken. Back in Europe, Napoleon's enemies see their chance. Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia form a powerful alliance against him. One battle after another pushes him back toward France. In 1814, the Allies enter Paris. Napoleon, realizing he cannot win, gives up the throne. He is sent into exile on the small island of Elba in the Mediterranean. His empire is gone. His power is gone. Many think his story is over, but Napoleon is not finished. Spike moment. In 1815, after less than a year on Elba, he escapes. In a daring move, he sails back to France with just a few hundred loyal soldiers. As he marches north, French troops sent to stop him join him instead. The people cheer his return. Napoleon takes back control of France in what becomes known as the 100 Days. Europe watches in shock. The man they thought was finished is back and ready for one last fight. Chapter 6. Waterloo and the End. The year is 1815. Napoleon is back in power, but the whole of Europe is ready to stop him once and for all. His enemies, Britain, Prussia, Austria, and Russia, quickly gather their armies. Napoleon knows his only chance is to strike fast before they unite. He moves toward Belgium to face the British and their allies under the Duke of Wellington. This will be his final gamble, the battle that will decide everything. Spike moment. On the morning of June 18th, at a place called Waterloo, heavy rain falls through the night. The ground becomes soft and muddy, slowing the movement of troops and cannons. Napoleon delays his attack to let the ground dry, but this gives his enemies precious hours to prepare. The battlefield becomes a deadly chessboard, every move costly, every mistake dangerous. All day, the fighting is fierce. The French push hard, but the British lines hold. In the afternoon, the Prussian army arrives to help the British. The balance tips against Napoleon. He knows time is running out. Emotional spike. As the sun begins to set, Napoleon orders one last desperate attack. The Imperial Guard, the proud, elite soldiers who have never been beaten, march forward. They know the odds are hopeless, but they advance with their heads high. Muskets fire, smoke fills the air, and the cry goes up. The Guard is retreating! It is the signal that the battle is lost. Napoleon's army begins to fall back, the dream of his empire collapsing in the mud of Waterloo. Defeated, Napoleon surrenders. This time, his enemies will not risk another escape. They send him far away to the tiny island of St. Helena in the Atlantic Ocean, thousands of miles from France, surrounded by endless sea. There is no army here, no throne, no chance of return. On St. Helena, Napoleon lives under guard in a lonely house. He spends his days walking in the garden, talking with the few people around him, and writing about his life. He thinks about his victories and his mistakes, about the soldiers who followed him, and about France, which he loved above all. Final emotional pull. On May 5th, 1821, Napoleon dies. His last words are about France, the army, and the love of his people. Even in exile, far from home, his thoughts are with the nation he once ruled. And so ends the story of Napoleon, from glory to ruin. His rise was faster than almost anyone in history, and his fall was just as great. The lesson is clear. Even the most powerful leaders can fall, but their stories can still inspire, showing us what vision, courage, and determination can achieve, and also reminding us of the dangers of ambition without limits.